Um, here we Hello, everyone. Welcome to this program. We're going to give a few minutes. People are still joining in. I just want you to be a little patient. We will begin in a couple of minutes. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this second day of the program, Striding Bodies, Procession in Performance Art. It's one of the very first programs organized that I curated for International Network of Performance Art, a new platform initiative launched a couple of months ago. And this is the very first project program with many of the members, many of the artists who have been selected for this particular program from an international open call that went out a month ago. My name is Hector Canonge, and I want to welcome you all to this program. I know some of you are still joining us. We will be presenting video documentations of works that have been exploring the notion of procession or parade or march. I would like to start with this quote. If the processional is an artistic medium, it can also be a curatorial one. Exhibitionary models of mass participation might yield seemingly contradictory results. On the one hand, they engage the increasingly large audiences, and on the other, they relay the globalization of mass action toward the constituency of participatory democracy. It's a quote from one of the writings by Claire Tancons. Claire is a scholar, a curator, and writer who has been exploring this idea of the procession in performance art. I've been very fortunate to have worked with Claire during seminars, academic seminars, and she has really opened up my understanding of processional performances, the idea of performance art in terms of displacement of procession. I started exploring this theme back in 2017 after the big event in New York City, Performa, where I met a group from South Africa who performed in the cities, in the streets of the city of New York, particularly in Harlem. And since then, I've been very interested in not only researching about this idea of procession parade in performance art, but also in my own work that I call the caravans of exploration that have been done in different cities since then, since 2017. I would like to start the program by also taking into consideration that the works that you are going to see are works that have taken the public domain, the public sphere. And for today, we have as guest artists Jana Astanov, who is originally from Poland, living in the US, Vital Schrennen and Jo Sanders from Belgium, Motoko Ohinata, who is connecting from Japan, Ariadna Pastorini and Noelia Rivero from Argentina, Ricardo Matraclas, originally from Italy, but who is been living in the UK, Dagmar Glosnitzer-Smith, who is from Germany, Ras Sankara Abboka from Togo, and last but not least, Alonso Zulaga from Colombia. They are all presenting works that explore this notion of the performance and displacement in particular territories. I'm going to welcome all the artists, and they're here now with us, joining us. Some of them presented works yesterday. Dimple Bichot from India, Nicolas Aka from the Philippines, Clyde Lepage from Belgium, Yusuf Durudola from Nigeria, presented works, Andrés Valenzuela from Chile as well. So they're joining us today because we wanted to give the sense of this community that we're building. Yes, this is a program, and we've done the best to make it as professional, as effective as possible, but it's also a community. It's not just, it's not a festival. And I want to emphasize that it's not just coming, presenting and leaving, because we all are connected. We all are in this network that makes kind of the broader global community of performance art and the artists that explore that. So so here we have the artists today present. If there are a few words, we'll do that now from any of the artists. Before we begin, just a few remarks before starting today's event. Okay, I think we're all excited to begin actually with our projects presentation. So we will do that. We will do that. So I would like to then go and invite our very first participant, Jana Astanov. As I said, from Poland originally. She's in the States, living in the States. We will present her work, The Personal is Political, a performance that took place in New York in 2018. Jana, go ahead, please.
Hi, everyone, and thank you so very much for this opportunity to show my project, The Personal is Political. A few words about myself. I'm an interdisciplinary artist and a poet. I'm also a curator and art organizer. I'm originally from Poland, and currently I live in Minnewaska Forest in upstate New York. I'm also a writer and a founder of Creatrix magazine, which is focused on art, especially performance art, activism, and spiritual practice, something that I called astrofeminism. I describe my performance art practice as mythology versus ideology, referring to my two main interests, the political and economic foundations of our society and civilization, which include feminism and environmentalism, and also mythological and religious values through different shamanic traditions I work with. In my work, I utilize spiritual traditions, movement, and dance derived from the Grotowski technique. He was a Polish theater director who became quite well known in the US as well. Also sound art. Together with my partner, Nico van Ekten, we created a music group, Astroloop, where I present my poetry and he creates dark electronic arrangement to it. I'm an author of 5 collections of poetry, with the latest book called Birds of Equinox. That book is about experience of motherhood. I'm an artist and a mother. I really love this idea of international community and this first theme of processional performance, because within Polish culture, the tradition of procession is very strong, both through religious currents, Catholicism, but also through folk traditions. During May in Poland, the whole country turns into a procession. And as a young girl, I was part of those processions every single year. And every day you are part of the procession when you throw flowers as a young girl on the streets and you walk through the city. And through the folk tradition, it's expressed through the cult of gods and goddesses of fertility and harvest. So the procession is also a reoccurring theme in my work through one of my projects called Triple Moon Goddess. However, for our weekend festival, I decided to present the project, The Personal is Political, because it reflects the current, I find that it reflects and refers to the current situation in Poland. which I would like to talk later after we see the documentation of the performance from 2018.
Thank you, Jana. Now we will go and show your.
You are welcome to come with me. The personal is political. The time has come to believe women. This is the age of democracy. This is the moment to believe and fight for proportional representation.
Jana, come.
It's a really long trend. This is the time to believe women. The personal is political. Join us in our fight. Believe women. We are the voice of now. We are the voice of the society. The personal is political. This is the time to believe women. The age of democracy is now. This is the moment to believe. This is the moment to fight for proportional representation. Vote for women. Trust women. Believe women. We are the voice of now. The personal is political. This is the time to believe women. The age of democracy is now. Believe women. Trust women. This is the moment to fight for proportional representation. Proportional representation for all female-identified beings, for all the races. This is the time to change the old institutions. This is the time for democracy. We are the voice of now. The personal is political. This is the moment to believe women. We are in the age of democracy. We are the voice of our society. Believe women, trust women. We are the voice of now. The personal is political. Ask me about my feminist agenda. International Party for Proportional Representation. Enough is enough. Time's up. Believe women. The personal is political. This is the moment to believe women. This is the moment to fight for proportional representation. Ask me about my feminist agenda. Our bodies, our choice. Believe women. This is the time to fight for proportional representation. This is the age of democracy. Believe women. Trust women. Have a session with Dr. Lisa. Yes, you will turn into feminist. And please ask me about
Conversion
my
therapy.
agenda.
That's
Join my
conversion
party,
therapy.
International Party for Proportional Representation. I'm Mary Kościuszko, presidential candidate 2020. Building bridges, not walls. Mary Kościuszko, International Party for Proportional Representation. Building bridges, not walls. Ask me about my feminist agenda. Believe women, trust women. Come to hear my speech. We are streaming live the vote for Kavanaugh next week at 100 bloggers. Trust women, believe women. Let's go all the way. Let me vote for women.
and board of directors. We deserve to be heard. Please join us. We will be streaming live the vote for Kavanaugh next week at 100 Bogar Street. Join us. We will never stop, and I'm certain this guy will not have his lifetime tenure at the Supreme Court, because our voices are heard and our voices matter, and no one will ever tell us otherwise. And we can show everyone that together we can act against the mafia, the big mafia created in Washington with all the frat boys who go to the same schools, creating all the institutions for our society. And you know what? I'm the presidential candidate, Mary Kościuszko 2020, building bridges, not walls. And no, I wasn't born here. I can pay taxes, but I cannot vote. Didn't someone say no taxation without representation? Why was it valid 200 years ago? But now we deny the immigrants their right to vote, even though they are a valid part of our society. And we work and we pay taxes, but we cannot vote. That's the reality. The institutions created a few hundred years ago are no longer valid for the reality of the 21st century. And this is the time to change it and to scream our truths. Believe women, vote for women. We are the voice of now. The time of democracy has arrived. Thank you. I've got more to say. I would love all of you to join me next week during the Kavanaugh vote. Let's celebrate it all together. Yes, democracy is now. Ask me about my feminist agenda. Change the old institutions that no longer serve our society. They no longer serve us. They don't serve our truth. Truth, the democracy, the age of democracy has arrived. We can join heart and join the heart of protest. The time has arrived. Join us next week. Please join us next week. We will be live streaming Kavanaugh's vote at 100 dollars. The time is now. Join me. International Party for Proportional Representation. Believe women. Trust women. Our bodies, our choice. Our bodies, our choice. Please join us next week during the vote for Kavanaugh. 100 I'll do my stuff outside.
That's right.
Every corner,
This
every
is a private
street.
property. This
This is the art that people came to see. This is the real alive art. People can experience the live art, and their lives and our lives is art. And this guy should not be on the Supreme Court. That's the bottom line. And we'll fight for it because people start believing women, and the democracy age is now. Please follow me. I've got more to say. Please Levy, join our fight for proportional representation. Vote for women. International Party for Proportional Representation. Mary Kościuszko. I'm the presidential candidate 2020. No taxation without representation. Vote for women. The personal is political. This is the time to believe women. Ask me anytime, anywhere about my feminist agenda. I know exactly what I'm talking about. Proportional representations for all beings identified as female, for all races. So our political institutions actually represent our society. So we don't have to lie to ourselves. We don't have to pretend about the reality. Why do we? Why do we say that men and women are equal, but they're clearly not? When within our society, we are willing to believe men, especially those with high power, who were going to the right schools, and we don't want to believe women. The time is up. The age of democracy is now. Eva, what would you like to add to this?
The age of democracy is now. Give women the power they deserve, like we take it back, we own it.
We take it back and we own it. We are here to take our power back and scream out the truth. And yes, I'm gonna scream at the patriarchy. watching the Kavanaugh going down, because he will, because it's time to believe women. And yes, the personal is political, and it's my body, and I won't allow any guy to decide about my body. Baby, did you hear that? Learn the truth. Let's prepare the next generation for the new era, the era when all life matters, the era where we don't pretend and don't lie to each other, where we don't create a society based on the elite, based on the privilege of a few, based on the privilege of some white old guys who all went to the same schools. We can take the power into our hands, and we can vote. In 36 days, we need to vote. Vote for Democrats. Vote for International Party for Proportional Representation.
That was Yana Astanov's work. Hello again, Yana. You need to unmute yourself. Yes. There we are.
So being feminist is such a utopian concept because, you know, there were hundreds of those marches, and in my own country for the last month and a half, people were marching. However, nothing changes, whatever we do. So this march was a part of several actions I did in 2018 in Poland, in the US, partially as a persona of a presidential candidate. But the whole action was inspired by the fact that, you know, we went through the whole reckoning of 2017 and Me Too movement. However, nothing within our reality has changed. And, you know, the Trump and Kavanaugh, Weinstein, they still perpetuate throughout our political scene. And if there are not those people, there will be others. And the fact is that regardless of how much we protest, the truth is that there is no proportional representation, and women in the Western societies, all of the societies in the world, you know, are citizens of second category, making less money, not having the same opportunities. So I feel like protest art is so important. And in my own country, for the whole, you know, for the whole year, even during the pandemic, women were on the streets. And the sad truth is that most likely nothing will change. The complete ban of abortion in Poland has been introduced by the current political elite. You know, that won't change, but it creates incredible hypocrisy where women get those abortions illegally, which is also a danger to their health. So my own country is pretty much run by the, you know, by the men mafia, right-wing politicians with Catholic Church. And we are living in the 21st century. However, that reality becomes more and more oppressive for women. I'm certain that a lot of people have similar experiences coming from your own countries, but we want to believe in democratic institutions. However, regardless of how much we protest, we don't see really those changes happening within the fabric of the society.
Thank you, Yana, for those words. If there are any questions from the audience right now, you can type them in the comments. I could start with one, and the idea of this, it is a protest. Can you contextualize where it took place? Because it seems that there are other things happening around that relate to art. And you went to actually these galleries. Can you give us that picture of where, how? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a series of protests. It wasn't just a series of actions. It wasn't it wasn't just performance. That was one of the actions, the march. The others were a part of, you know, this whole situation in 2018 of choosing Kavanaugh for the Supreme Court. So that was another action where I created a cake, Believe Women. Another action was a presidential campaign of Mary Kościuszko, and another action was the trauma choir, where I directed a group of 30 people screaming different quotes from the Me Too movement. So there were lots of different actions within this concept of personal is political, of believing women, of bringing more equality to our societies, of creating, you know, bringing proportional representation, which seems so obvious, and that would definitely help our civilization to be more fair and just if we were all equally represented through the different layers of society, having more women at the top, within the boards of directors and so on. So that was that particular performance was at 100 Bogar Street Gallery. But it was really, I see it as a whole series of actions through 2018 and beyond.
This particular performance, the procession, took place in Brooklyn. Was it in a festival? Because it seems that there are also people outside, and that's what I mean by contextualizing your work. That particular one in the location.
During Bush Week Open Studios, I believe. Yeah.
Okay. Which is, you know, very, very important for artists living in Bushwick, that event, right? The Bushwick Open Studios, all studios open, all galleries open, and then you are there present. There is a question that says, what is the significance of the red fabric in relation to the content of the piece?
You know, so I mentioned before the tradition of Polish procession in religion, but there was also another tradition of march, the Communist March, which everyone had to attend. And as kids, I was very little back then, but I remember those big marches where we were supposed to wear red and have the white and red flags, which is Polish national flag. So this aesthetic of red became really powerful in my work. So it does refer to socialism and equality, but also, you know, the red as a color symbolize anger, but also action and passion. So all of these elements that I feel I somehow, through the use of red, somehow alchemically, I also bring this energy of action and anger into my work. So that's one of the I mean, this is quite a few meanings that I just brought forth. Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments for Jana? Remember, some of you that just joined us, we are presenting the second day of the program, and we will have the artists presenting their talking a little bit about their work in general first. We'll watch the video documentation of their work in terms of procession, the processional, and then the artist is invited to talk and discuss with the audience. So now is the time to do that. At the very end, we will also convene for a few reflections on the topic. Jana, were people allowed to join freely, or you had a group that was following you predetermined?
I invited everyone to join, but people came for the show to see all the visual artworks and also my performance. So those people followed me throughout the Bush Week. But everyone, and there were some people who actually joined us. it was really open. It was a little bit of the concept was to reconstruct the actual political protest on the streets of New York. So it had that aesthetic of the protest and the banners, and I hope it also had the energy. I continued with the screaming action in another performance called Trauma Choir, as I mentioned, where everyone screamed for half an hour. So
thank you. I think that answers the question. Yes, yes, yes. So it became a, like you said, representation of what a political march would be. Thank you, Jana, very much for your work. Now I would like to introduce the next artist in the program, and I would like to invite Vital Schrennen and Jo Sanders, who are connecting from Belgium. Their work is called Brutal. It was done in Brussels, in Belgium, in 2018. Okay, so let's see, our friends now are connecting. Vital, there you are, and also we have your colleague who is joining as well. There you are. Hello, Joe. Go ahead, please.
Vital.
Okay, I will start to present just my work and not more than that. So I'm Vital, I'm working from Belgium, basically. I'm a director. First of all, I was a music director, and then more and more I specialized in community projects, participative projects with bigger and bigger groups. And basically going from inside the theaters towards outside the theaters, investing public spaces, working on parades, working on brass bands marching by, participative projects, but concerned with public space and the position also of the audience in this kind of project, of course. And besides that, I'm also a performer, and also there is an evolution. First I was directing and I was standing at the side, and more I got involved in my own performances, leading the performances from inside, what is a completely other way to do it, to pull the energy in a shamanistic way, you could say, I don't know. And that is two things. And then a third thing, what is my current occupation? I'm co-artistic director of a music organization, Metics Moving Music in Brussels. And there we work on with a lot of different artists, professional artists, on all kind of different projects, participative brass bands, and we try also to combine different disciplines, dance, fireworks. But again, there, how to invest public spaces, how to invest and touch people with music, with emotion, and with kind of artistic reflection. That is for my part, but I will present Jo Sanders, my partner in crime in these different projects, but in this specific Brutal project. Jo, it's up to you.
Thank you, Vital. Hello, everyone. Thanks for having us. It's exciting to be in this kind of network. So I'll present myself. I'm Jo Sanders. I'm a musician, a percussionist, and instrument builder. So as a percussionist, I'm very interested in big drum groups that play outside in the streets. So for this, I traveled to like Brazil or Morocco. And I got inspired by their music, but when I came back in Belgium, at first we copied these musical styles, but it didn't felt right to me. So you go to Brazil, you see in Bahia all the Bloco Afros, and you go back to Belgium and you play the same music, which is not, it didn't fit. So while I started to build my own instruments, I also started to write my own music, which was like inspired by all those traditions, but it felt at the same time very personal to me. But I'm not a solo player, so I always play with a lot of people, and then I'm directing the drum group, and I like to connect people, bring people together, join them in the same groove, in the same beat. So you build a kind of community, whatever those people are. And that's my aim, to connect people, to make instruments, to make original music, and to play original sounds in the streets. Voila. So Brutal is one of the examples I did together with Vital. Voila.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Vital. So now let's go. Let's go to Brutal, the work. Thank you, Vital. Thank you, Jo. Okay. Go ahead.
Yes, you see me? You don't see me?
Yes, yes, we see you very well. And we
Okay.
hear you well and clear.
Okay, no, I just wanted to explain a little bit what the frame is of what you saw. So you have to know in Brussels, we have since the year 2000 a biannual parade, let's say. It's called the Zinneke Parade. And it's always, let's say, 20, 25 groups creating new work based on community work on all the different communities that are living in Brussels. But it's creation works and it's always curated by artists. It could be musicians, designers, set designers, performance artists. And each year there is a thematic link to this parade. And in 2018, it was illegal, the theme that people voted for. So we were invited as artists to work on this theme, to do something with the theme illegal. And we developed this imagery, let's say. And of course, there is no direct statement, but we worked very much on the energy of illegality. And so in this way, it is, in my opinion, a kind of tribute or an homage to all this kind of iconography that is linked to all what is illegal. But basically, it's about the energy of illegality. Even if we don't see it, even if it is underground, there is a kind of energy. And what you cannot see really in this video, but there is a whole dramaturgy of falling down, shouting, fighting, going back, going front. And of course, the music in this one plays a major role because this is the energy, but it's energy with a kind of attitude, with a kind of a kind of meaning, let's say. Just to say something else about it, after this parade in 2018, just to mention a little bit, in 2016 we had the terroristic attack in Brussels. And I remember very much when we did this show, throwing bombs in the streets of Brussels, being masked completely. It was not really, it was welcome on the one hand, but on the other hand, it has really something against all logic, especially of the Zinneke Parade, who is a kind of, it's a parade. There are 22 groups like ours. It's, I don't know, 50,000 people are looking at this. So it creates something subversive, let's say, and we were very happy to do this. And at the same time, you saw kids having fun, otherwise other ones being afraid a little bit, and all kind of different reactions, and also people just dancing with it. And just to be short, after this performance, we developed two new formats based on this one. One is just a performance group of 10 musicians, and there we play everywhere, but not on stage, but in festivals and other parades. And we also create a kind of participative format with this, where we play music, but we invite other people to join, to play with us in this kind of same attitude and in the same trance music that we try to create. That is the first thing. Perhaps you can add something to this, the way we worked, or I don't know. Yeah.
No, I don't have so much to say on top of this. Just for the music, there are three elements which we worked with, we combined. It's the drum group, people who play the drums. Then we have the people who are playing on the big megaphones, like on the top of their heads, some lo-fi percussion instruments like kalimbas and trumpets. And then we have the choir, which is the people with the megaphones, and they can shout, and they were integrated very last minute. So they were under the guidance of Vital. So the drummers, they played for like 2 years already together. The people with the megaphones, they worked for half a year. And then the people with the megaphones, they could join the very last minute. So that's also something to keep in mind, how we construct these groups. So everyone can join, but some notes are more stronger than other ones. Voilà, but if you have questions, we would be very happy to answer them.
There is the physicality, the actions in the performance for those that make the group, and the beats and the rhythm enhance the whole experience. How did you collaborate to create this sense of not only physical, but it's also a sonic experience? So it's a corporal experience, but at the same time, it's also this sonic. There's, you know, the sound that kind of frames.
Yeah, maybe I one thing to say about this. So when people drum together, we always start from the body and from the movement. So all the drummers first they learn to step in the beat, so to feel where the pulse is. Also to be sure everyone feels the same pulse, because if it's all different, then it's really cacophony. So this body thing is already within the musicians, and then we worked together with Vital, with this drum group, for 2 years, how to make movements and choreographies. But we're not a dance group, but the music dictates how the people are moving. So this we already had in our pocket, let's say. And then for the parade, we work, how do you translate this from a performance in one place to something that moves?
Yeah.
So, yeah, Vital.
Yeah, I would add something very important, that of course the people who are drumming, they are drumming and they are making music, but here we knew in what kind of framework we were doing this, and that this would fit in the kind of dramaturgy that was linked to these illegal thematics. And at one point we came up with this idea to put this mask on. And the fact that we put this mask on was really kind of liberation. You saw people going much further on the physicality. Before they were themselves drumming, with putting the mask on, they were becoming an exponential themselves, and at the same time they were creating something abstract also for the audience. It was not just you or me doing something, it was abstract people doing something, and I really believe that that the people who were looking at us could more easily come in what we were doing. So there was a kind of invitation for imagination. And at the same time, the musicians who were performing this could go much further than they ever thought they could go on even their physical attitude and the living of this story or this trance in this city, because it's a city that we use each day, because we go and work there, we travel there, we pass. And suddenly this city becomes a setting of a kind of a revolutionary, I don't know, something completely dark movie, Mad Max, I don't know. So there is a whole transformation going on through the mask and through the city where we are in, because the city becomes something else. And that is so important. I mean, I'm quite busy with why are we doing things in public space. It's also to give another function to this public space. And we own this public space, not only to go and shop, not only to go from one place to the other, but also to create spaces for imagination, for reflection, political statement, political and poetic statement. So all this comes together in this in a show like that. And in the physicality, we don't have a clear message, that is, we don't say anything. But I think with this energy and this physicality, we give this space.
So we can talk about and think about the reappropriation of the public space, that somehow by the institutionalization of governments, the control of police have taken, you know, away from us, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And unfortunately, in a way, this Zinke parade is also kind of a very framed thing, because it's 50,000 people at the side and we are doing a big, but we do other kind of mini parades where we don't announce anything and we just go in the streets. And this gives, of course, a completely different, we go with the same energy, but the people are just surprised or shocked, or they just come with us, they dance with us. We did this in other cities as well. So it is important to have this attitude and to dare this. And that I see in other projects that you talked about is, okay, we are not allowed to go on the streets. Let's go at the side of the river, because there it is allowed. So there is a whole reflection of processions. Okay, we are not doing a procession. This is much more parade. We are on the other range of the topic, I think. We are also a big group. We are, I think, 65 performers. But in a way, it's the same thing. It's how you create this energy, how you create emotions with meaning, and how you can reinvent the space you are doing it for people who are aware or not aware, and how this can create reflection and emotions.
And thank you, Vital. That's a very interesting point that you bring. The idea of the parade and the procession. In the procession is more bring everybody in, kind of, you know, get in. In the parade is more of the spectacle where there are people just observing, but at the same time, the parade could also turn into a procession. So these are the things that we are right now kind of exploring. A question for Yo. You mentioned that you went to Brazil, and it kind of, and I've been to, you know, many carnivals and many traditional marches in Brazil where the beat, right? And I think it sounded very familiar, the beats that you were doing, but of course with a twist of your own creation.
Yeah, I really like this twist because where should I begin? Like if you go to, for instance, Salvador de Bahia, or if there's Bloco Afros who play samba reggae, and for them it's a rhythm with a very strong meaning, and they play it with a certain swing. And then you come to Europe or to the States or to Japan or everywhere else in the world, and you have groups playing exactly the same thing, not because it has a meaning for them, because they want to emulate or copy the same swing and feel, and even with the same t-shirts and things. And they identify themselves with the groups which are located in Salvador. And for me, I didn't want to do it because it hadn't the same meaning. I have respect for the meaning it has for those musicians, of course, and it's fantastic music. I don't want to put it as in disrespect, but I wanted to make music that it has a meaning for me. And that's why I started making my own instruments, because when I make my instrument, there's a story why I make this way or that way, and also for the grooves. So there are links to maracatu or samba reggae or shabi music in Morocco, or voodoo music from Benin, or other styles. But no, it comes in and comes out in a different way, which for me it feels like it's my way of doing things. Also with this electronic DIY amplification, it completely changed the music. And I also want to make music that's not per se beautiful or nice or well produced. So it can be quite rough, and as long as it unites the people, it brings them all together in one groove, one beat. And also what I wanted to say, because of the masks we are using, the people that are playing that you saw, they're just very ordinary people. They're just people that go to work, and then when they put on the mask, some of them, they become like, whoa, like animals. So that's what I really like about this project. Yeah.
Thank you.
I hope this answers a bit your question.
Yes, many questions. Thank you, Yo. Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
Vital. And now we will continue with our next guest for this afternoon, and is connecting from Japan, Motoko Ohinata, who worked on this project, People in White and Pitayu. It took place in Nakanoho in Japan in 2019. So we're going to switch now gears, continents, and we go to Japan. It's probably over there already Monday, but let's see with our friend and colleague Motoko.
Hello. Hi.
Hello, Motoko.
Hiya. Thank you, Hector, for inviting me here. I'm so excited and having such a rewarding time, but a little bit nervous too. My English is not really brilliant, but I want to tell you about my work. I studied painting, mainly oil painting in Japan, and then wanted to study further. So I went to England and I studied BA and MA there in Kent. During that time, I found art, various ways of ceilings. I was especially interested in body art, performance art, as it was totally new to me. Fragile, temporal, and ephemeral, It means performance art cannot sell or buy, cannot be bought or sold. And I was interested in that area. I was alone in front of a video camera in England, performed all by myself and edited the film I recorded. I painted my face white, put a little hat, handbag or something, anything on my head, and I was ready to be something different from myself, beyond human being. That is the white people in white. I call people in white. People in white who I continue to present are my representation, a representation of myself. The people in white have a fictitious existence, liberated from age, nationality, and other social attributes. The people in white is accumulation of my personal memories. But when it is performed with many voluntary people, the performers shared this uncertain notion that reflected my aspiration, and each individual played their role freely, as though they were actually people in white. That's all.
Thank you, Motoko. And now we're gonna see the work, people in white. So here we go, and we want to make sure that
肥料に死にしよう理由は自信消えずじねじといわじとその仲間たちもあっという間に即感知これで悪魔も健康体寿命が伸びると10万歳一日の疲れを癒せここでレッツバスラメン俺の親父のそのまた前の前から継いだこのかまど下町銭湯バンダイの仕事人気は自慢の露天風呂砂風呂青風呂水風呂蒸し風呂岩盤浴に足湯にジェットバス地元民から愛され続ける大衆浴場ディア風呂デビルというもんサタンにルシファー畑に乗ってるアルファルファ風呂に入れば誰でも焦点
Okay, thank you. So you are back with us now, Motoko. Go ahead, please.
Hi.
Hi. Okay.
This performance was the story of a hot spring district made lively with the single-minded and capricious people in white that served as the artist's representation. The people in white continued to exist and dissimulate the place where drifting in the nonverbal realm. The Nakanojo Biennale is an international art festival held in Nakanojo once every 2 years. This performance was held using the entire hot spring district on both September 14th and 15th, together with a presentation of video work and installation as a participating artist. This event was successfully completed with the cooperation of a total about 56 people, dancers, students, and volunteer local residencies. A unique hot spring dance began upon the people in white encountering the dance group called Pitayu. They dressed as a traditional ryokan hostess. Multiple things were always happening at the same time somewhere. For example, triangle human dancers, they were dancing and children in white played by the water. I say they transformed this quiet hot spring district into an extraordinary world. And you heard Juve Salut Marie while staring. Parisians sang Juve Salut Marie while staring at the Notre Dame Cathedral as it was engulfed in flames in France in 2019. The image of that, which visualizes faith, sense of belongings, and love for the city where you live, reminded me of the people who live in Nakanojo. The people in white proceeding in a dignified manner through the retro street of Nakanojo. In the next moment, the music then turned into a nostalgic Japanese song, and the people in white quickly transformed into a circus troupe holding accordions with tranquility and humor replacing each other. To me, humor and tragic are somehow always connected. The audiences sometimes naturally became caught up in the flow of the performance and performed a part of it. The people in white engaged the audience in their stories by eliminating the boundary lines with others while repeating acts. Well, with no answers to why did you do that? Although they seemed to be controlled, they were not really controlled. The dance movement have some names like turn, step, jump, and choreography is completed by combining these, but people in white move in various ways freely. There were many reproducible, accidental and non-reproducible acts they do. This means there is always some tension while I was performing. Can I speak more? The people in
yes,
white,
you have a few more minutes.
Oh, thank you. The people in white who played representation of myself developed and extended themselves in various ways. This brought about new perspectives in regard to the possibilities of communication and physical expression. That is what I wrote.
Thank you. Thank you for this wonderful narration of your work and how it was, conceptualized. And it's also referencing with the music first, to the French music and then traditional Japanese music. One of the things that called my attention is this, there is a break. So there's the parade where people also engage, right, with the performers, but then it's taken to the stage. It takes us to almost like another world. Can you talk a little bit about that interaction with the other group? Because they appear out of, suddenly they go and interrupt, it seems, another performance that was taking place, maybe? Can you talk a little bit about that?
With yellow.
Yes.
They were professional dancers and collaborated with people in white. And the place is a famous hot spring area. So they wanted exaggerated the place with the special way of dancing. So we practiced so many times, and the dancer, one of the dancer called Mie, she choreographed us. So usually we move freely, but at the point we all come together and dance to celebrate the onsen, to celebrate the hot spring area with the dance, with the music, and then we scattered into the area. so come together and scattered, and that is the way I wanted to construct the story.
Thank you, Motoko. And another thing, one more question I wanted to ask you: is the tradition of the procession or parade big in Japan, or it's something that was kind of taken from the West?
Maybe we have, yes, but yes, we have traditional things, wearing traditional clothes called kimono, and in a special, I don't know how to call, but we have sometimes during January or sometimes commemoration, but I didn't think about traditional way of parade. I wanted to be like Pierrot, circus or something, and I wanted to show actual existence of human being, ephemeral things though. If we have parade.
Thank you. That's for me, you know, something to take note of, because we don't hear much about the Japanese parades. So Motoko, thank you again for sharing your work. And there was one last question. What does the, is there a flag? What does the flags represent? What do the flags represent? What do the flags say? Are there any particular meaning for it?
Flag?
Yeah, the flags. They say flags. Yeah, the flag. That's what they're questioning. There's one question. What it should be. What do the flags mean or say? There are no flags.
That is not a flag. Something like towel, and there was a mark. It is a mark of hot spring. We use hot water to take a bath, to be comfortable, to cure ourselves. And the place I performed, I danced, is a famous place for about hot spring. So we made a mark, logo, to represent a hot spring area. And we wanted to make the place lively. That is the first purpose. Onsen,
yeah, thank you. Thank you. So yes, it is not a flag. It is a towel with a mark for the hot spring. Yes. Thank you, Motoko. And now we continue our program with an artist that's connecting from South America. And actually, Ariadna Pastorini and Noelia Rivero, who are connecting from Argentina. And their work is called El peso de la fragilidad, the weight of frailness. It would translate loosely into English. And this performance took place in Buenos Aires, in Argentina, in 2016. So I'm going to now invite our friend Ariadna to join us. Hola, Ariadna.
Hola. ¿Me vas a traducir o leo?
I can translate for you if you like me to, yes. But if you want to read, that's fine too. Noelia is not with you.
Noelia had a bike accident.
Oh, so sorry to hear about that.
Yeah.
So sorry to hear about that. I hope she's okay. I hope she's okay.
Si quieres leo, que lo tengo escrito en inglés.
Muy bien.
y luego me traduces.
Muy bien.
Okay.
Okay, so Ariadna has prepared a little document for to introduce her work. Then I will be helping her in the translation after the presentation of the video. Muy bien, Ariadna, go ahead.
Bueno, empiezo. My name is Ariadna Pastorini, born in Montevideo, Uruguay. I live and work in Buenos Aires, Argentina. I started by doing performance in special issues and street venues and with very few guests. I am a multidisciplinary artist working in sculpture and performance, graduated from the National School of Fine Art in Buenos Aires. And I am an organizer of artistic events. In the 19th in Buenos Aires, where AIDS killed many artists, I create and manage annual events on the theme of death, the events of the Day of the Dead. These were are special events that have a main ID, but which are open to individual proposals. I release these collaborative groups events parallel to my other works. My two recent projects were two virtual events that included more than 130 invited artists from different countries. They are called Lockdown Performance and Walk of Light. Both have to do with confinement and death, two central subjects during this year. The project that I am presenting here was called The Burden of Fragility. It was done in the context of an exhibition of mine, where the main theme was the eternal materiality of the body. This performance, a procession, was made in the year 2016. In the lead are two women, me and Noelia Rivero, who carry a body through the street and finally free it from its shape and weight and let it free.
Thank you, Ariadna. And now we
Espero se
are...
haya entendido.
No, estuvo muy bien. Gracias. Yeah, and now let's look at documentation of the work. Okay. Thank you, Ariadna. Andrés nos va a ayudar con la traducción. Adelante, Andrés. Puedes activar tu micrófono. Okay. We have Andrés Valenzuela, artist from Chile, who's going to help us and in the Spanish to English translation with Ariadna. Lo que te pediría es que... Hola.
Hola, Ariadna, yo te voy diciendo en español lo que vayamos diciendo en inglés.
Sí, gracias. Buenísimo.
Perfecto. Adelante, Ariadna. Háblanos un poco del trabajo. Primeramente, luego ya vendré con preguntas.
Bueno, como decía, el trabajo empieza dentro de un contexto de una muestra que hice sobre cuerpos, que es un tema que me interesa mucho, porque creo que el cuerpo encierra muchos temas que a mí me interesan, que son lo efímero, la vida, la muerte, todo en un mismo objeto, ¿no?
Okay. Go ahead, Andrés.
Yo pensé que yo le tenía que decir en español lo que se iba a hablar en inglés. But she's talking about the importance for her to talk about the body and all what the body says and contains as a symbolic way. Sorry, ahora voy a estar un poco más pendiente para decir exactamente lo que dijiste, Ariadna, pero pensaba que tenía que ser lo opuesto.
Ok.
Muy brevemente lo que fue.
Bueno, entonces esta muestra que hice era de mis cuerpos, que hice esculturas con salidas de mis propias ropas. Elaboré esculturas desde los años 90 hasta ahora, y esta muestra del 2016 mostraba todo un seguimiento de todos estos tipos de cuerpos como perennes, ¿no? Cuerpos eternos, porque eran en plástico, en ropas, en telas, en materiales que van a quedar.
Bien. Ariadna, le tienes que dar un poquito de pautas para Andrés, las líneas un poquito más cortas. Go ahead, Andrés.
Okay.
This was a personal exhibition, and there was some clothes, her clothes, she was accumulating for years, and not only fabric, also plastics of her history, no? I think that's it.
Uh-huh. Y la idea de la performance era hacer una procesión en base a este homenaje al cuerpo.
And the performance was a procession, doing an, I don't know how to say, homenaje. A
tribute, a celebration.
For a tribute for this body. Continúa.
Y también esta procesión es también una mezcla como de diferentes religiones. Se basa en esta mezcla se canta, por ejemplo, en un momento Ave Aguila, y se mezcla todo, como que la religión, bueno, pasa a ser como del hombre, ¿no? Ya no hay ningún límite.
Okay. This performance is also a mix between different religious expression, different religions, and it's like the life itself, no? A mixture.
Era volver un poco a esta celebración y religión al mismo tiempo.
So it was to come back to a celebration and a religious theme at the same time.
Dentro de la galería hacíamos, porque íbamos por el barrio de La Boca, y escuchábamos a la gente que decía, ¿de qué religión serán? Son de una religión.
So they were inside the gallery, and they was hearing the people outside saying, like, what religion are they? You know, they were confused.
Y bueno, la cuestión era hacer como una verdadera procesión con esto de los mantras de la música, con las plegarias de Noelia.
So they were singing like mantras and plegary. I don't know if that is the word, like religious songs. ¿Algo más?
Y luego, bueno, desarmábamos ese cuerpo, mostramos como el efímero y nos íbamos. Era entre cuerpos, y estábamos entre cuerpos, ¿no? El contexto.
So at the end they no sé cómo se dice desarmar. They like break.
Rellenar sería, sacar el
¿Cómo?
relleno, ¿no?
Yeah, like keeping out the stuff of this body that they were carrying during the procession.
A mí me interesa mucho trabajar con símbolos. Siempre uso elementos que ya me cuentan la historia, ¿no? Sí, el relleno, por ejemplo, de esa escultura eran mis propias ropas, o sea, era como mi otro cuerpo dentro de otros cuerpos míos, ¿no? Me interesa mucho eso.
So she loves working with symbols, with things that have many meanings, and for her, the clothes are like a body inside another body and inside another body.
Y
Yes.
las plegarias de Noelia hablaban, bueno, de la vida, de la guerra, de la soledad, bueno, de todas las cosas, ¿no? que siempre hablamos.
And the songs were about life and war and life itself.
Thank you, Ariadna. Thank you. Yeah, good. One of the things that called my attention was, and it kind of resonated with Sephardic Jewish traditions in Spain, and even the covering. I don't know if that was on purpose, since you were touching on religious aspects or many religions in one, or trying to create the idea of a religion. Una de las cosas que me llamó la atención fue una referencia a ritos sefarditas judíos, e incluso la manera en que llevan la tela, o no, con esto de cubrirse, y luego cuando entran a la galería está también la música, que no es necesariamente sefardita, pero ¿no? En ese entorno.
En realidad, cuando a mí me interesa mucho hacer el vestuario de las performances.
So she's
hago una frase corta.
interested in making the dressing, the costumes of the performance.
En realidad me había basado, me interesa mucho como las damas antiguas, esos tocados, y en realidad es un disco que está dentro de una tela. Elegí una forma que no tenía que ver, ¿no? Un long play, un disco.
Okay. So she's interested in old ladies, like classic ladies, like our grandmothers, when they go to church with those veils, but she's wearing under that veil a disc, a vinyl of music, no? De música?
Claro.
Yes.
Me interesaba esa contraposición de la música, de las cosas que se van como colocando.
So it's the opposition of symbols in here, no?
Claro, símbolos como todos los símbolos que tenemos en la cabeza y que en realidad a veces no tienen una conexión, ¿no?
Like all the symbols that we have in our heads, and sometimes they have no connections.
Okay.
Y me interesaba eso también porque era como de la nada, salía ese vestido desde una tela con un disco y quedaba como un vestido. Esa cosa así mágica me interesa mucho de la performance.
So when you took away the veil, and the veil is like a dress, so it's changing. A mí, disculpa, me recuerda un poco la tradición española de las mujeres que van acompañando a la Virgen en las procesiones o a Jesucristo que van con esos velos. Pero
Claro, con
claro,
las mantillas.
incluso el color, que las dos van de azul o celeste, también tiene que ver con eso.
Sí, sí, en realidad a mí, por eso decía que me gusta como elegir símbolos, porque bueno, uno ya cuando ve, relacionas todo, ¿no? Todo lo que encierra ese símbolo, esa mantilla, la mujer, no sé, todo, con un solo detalle. Eso me interesa.
Okay, so I was asking if that was the same as the Spanish ladies that are at the processions of the Virgin Mary, you know, wearing those veils, but this in this case is exaggeration, and she's saying that precisely is that because she used symbols that have powerful meanings, like that meaning, and also a woman, you know, and I think creo que todos los otros significados que puede tener la mujer y la religión cruzados, ¿no?
Todo encierra este símbolo. Sí, también a mí me interesa mucho, creo que tengo así como una particular manera de trabajar la performance, porque trabajo como también como desde el volumen y desde lo visual, como desde otro lado, me parece.
So she likes to work in performance from different places, like interdisciplinary, you know, volumes and textures, colors, all the things.
Thank
Muchas
you,
veces
Ariadna.
empiezo como desde un poema o algo así, como un haiku.
And also a poem or some text.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing those notes on the work and about your process. And I think one of the questions about the white cloth was answered, and why it was used or in what context. We continue with the program. Thank you, Andres, for the translation. We continue now with our next artist, who is connecting from the UK, Ricardo Matlacas. Is originally from Italy, but he's been living in the UK. His work, The Last Soldier, was presented in Karabakh in Armenia in 2018. So here we are. We're going to now connect with our friend Ricardo. Ricardo, go ahead.
Hi everyone. It's very nice to get to know your work since yesterday. Actually, yesterday I was walking in the street. I felt like I'm also walking, because it's a processional feeling that I had already since the beginning. And also today is really great to be connected with you all. I'm basically a multidisciplinary artist. I study sculpture, but I'm also a painter. I'm a performance artist, and I have a dance background as well. I tend to divide my visual art and the dance because I want to imply somehow the dance inside my work without having to look like dance. Because I think we can embody everything. We can embody sculpture, we can embody painting, we can embody dance. And life is a dance in a way. And I feel even if I perform and I don't dance, it's the dance of life. And all of us as artists, we dance life. We dance life, and this is the best dance we can ever do. I heard some of you, particularly the drummers, I can't remember the name, sorry, because it's new. You know, we talk about dance of life, we talk about happening, we talk about transformation, we talk about, also I heard another performer who has a speech as a dance. It doesn't matter if it's a body, if it's if it's a word, if it's an intention, if it's something that is given through any media, because media is not what we know as a painting, sculpture, performance. Media is what we communicate with. So media is what we communicate with, and we define it in art as a sculpture, painting, performance. Great, 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 great. Love it. We all have different way of expressing, and we all are, I guess, in the same realm of transforming what exists and creating something new, something that we maybe can feel a little bit deeper. So my work, I'm a multidisciplinary artist coming from all this background, and performance is really prominent in what I do, especially in the streets. Why the streets? Because I don't depend by institution that select me from doing stuff. I can do it. We own our streets, as I heard also earlier from the drummers, for example. We own our streets, we own our lives, we own our way of thinking. But our way of thinking is not owned by ourselves. Our own way of thinking, it's universal. We all have a way of thinking, and we all have a way of doing, with all respect with other ways. It's very important. And for me, all the work I do has some anthropological research. Sorry about the word anthropological, it sounds scientific. But if we want to put it on the standard line, my way of working is a human. Yeah, human, very simple. Human is feeling your birth, not as an identity. I'm not an identity. I'm not, yes, I'm Italian living in London, but we are more than that. And sorry if I say we, and sorry if I mention you, and I don't know you guys, but I feel we are there together. I feel you, I feel your work, and I feel myself within what we are doing. That's really, I think, we are privileged in a way. Yeah, I'm not talking about my performance, but I just tell you that the documentation is pretty bad because it wasn't meant to be documented. But
Sorry,
then I found some.
Ricardo, can we watch the video first and we can talk about the performance?
Oh, please.
Can we do that? Excellent. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna go and see this documentation, as Ricardo mentioned, of his performance. You allow me for, okay, please play that. Thank you, Ricardo. We're back with you.
Thank you. Well, the documentation, as I said, is not as satisfactory as the whole experience I had. It wasn't even supposed to be a documentation there. I tell you why. I was invited in a residency program in Yerevan, and I did a performance called Melting Borders, where I melt ice creams on my head. I made a helmet with this ice cream, which are the color of Armenian flag. So Armenian flag abstract itself on my white shirt, and it becomes an abstract flag. So what I'm doing, I'm abstracting political borders through this action. And then I thought, I want to go to the border where there is conflict. So I want to create something cathartic. I want to, okay, I'm not going to do anything, you know, like I'm just an artist and I'm doing that, and I'm not even belonging, I'm not even Armenian, but for me, it doesn't matter. For me, it's about what we are as a species, as a, you know. So I decided to go to Stepanakert, which is in the region of Nagorno-Karabakh, nowadays recalled Artsakh. And basically, there has been conflict since the 80s. So in the 80s, there was a lot of bombing. In the 90s, it came back. So 10 years later, in the 2020, also like nowadays, there is some problems there. There is some conflicts. So I just went to the border because I gave a workshop to young men about dance, about feeling us regardless of where we come from. So I did a dance workshop about feeling each other. So there were these men, you know, imagine these young men touching each other. I say, hey, young men, touch each other, feel each other. And you know, a few of these young men, they were military. So imagine this military touching each other. They feel like, oh, it's touch. But for me, touching each other is feeling the vibration of each other. There is nothing else beyond that. And one of these young men also opened to me, and he knew that I wanted to do an action, and he offered me to give me a uniform, the uniform of Armenian soldiers. And I had that. But then I decided to make an action. I said, okay, I want to make an action with this uniform. I need a hat and I need the boots. I found another two young men who gave me a hat, Armenian military soldiers' hat and boots of my size, through another friend who I met. So you see, the process in my work has been very, very important. Although you have seen my action, me dressing like a soldier, Armenian soldier in this particular case, and I was on the border with Azerbaijan, which is the enemy of, in this case, Armenia, particularly Artsakh. What I wanted to do is I call this work The Last Soldier, as a wish that would be a last soldier. Because when I heard the young men talking about war, talking about life, I feel they don't want to kill anyone. I feel they miss their family, they miss their girlfriend, they miss the people they care of. But it's not only on this side. This happens also on this side. So for me, the point is not only on this side. I've done this performance on that side, but it's not about any sides. It's about the soul of who goes in this case to fight and to maybe kill even another person. And usually they are not even conscious of that. Sorry, I'm brainstorming a little bit because I like to talk very freely and I didn't want to write something prepared. But I want you to hear a song that a friend of mine sent to me because he saw my performance and he said, Ricardo, you wanna hear this song? So I hope you can hear it well, and I will play it with you. Is that okay, Hector?
Yes, we have a few minutes.
Okay. All right. Can you hear it? One moment.
6 feet 4. He fights with missiles and with spears. He is almost 31 and he's only 17. Been a soldier for 1,000 years. He's a Catholic, a Hindu, an atheist, a Jain, a Buddhist and a Baptist and a Jew. And he knows he shouldn't kill, and he knows he always will. Kill you for me, my friend, and me for you. And he's fighting for Canada, he's fighting for France, he's fighting for the USA.
So thank you for providing the link. Thank you, and we can share it. Thank you. What is the song about? Because it didn't. Well, we can listen to it, but the words themselves, and I think it does relate to your work, because it called to my attention that although I was focusing as kind of the curatorial aspect, you know, kind of putting all this program together, the procession, the parade, etc. And then your work came and it struck me that there is a march, it's in the public.
Very good point.
And, but also the soldier is alone, is not carrying anyone else. No one is joining that. And with the title itself, you know, The Last Soldier, it sort of evokes that to me, the loneliness, perhaps, and all the male codes that are imposed on us also, right? Not to cry, to continue, to be strong, to be always forward. Not many people talk about this, you know, we talk about feminism, we talk about all these other things, but there are so many other things that are imposed on the male body and physical and psychological that this work relates to. So thank you for bringing that.
There are many things to say about it. Thanks for saying that. I actually wasn't alone. I look alone, but I'm with all souls who died. I'm with all souls who suffered. And yes, feminism, whatever, and being masculine, whatever, sensitivity is something that belongs to all of us. And these young men, they are so soft in the heart and they go and kill without even knowing. I decided to make a march usually as a very, very strong pattern. March is ta-tan, ta-tan, ta-tan. You know, Hector, I've been doing a lot of works in public spaces. I decided to bring this performance in particular here because of this particular matter, you know, this march, ta-tan, ta-tan, ta-tan. I want to create a march reverse, transform the soldier into a peace soldier to cathartically, because I'm not changing the world, cathartically changing the energy. And people on the border saw my work. And what is the real work is the process, and the people who follow me, the people who question what I'm doing, is not many people if you think about audience, but at least it will change few lives. For me, it's enough. And I traveled very far to get there. I don't know if you have questions, but yeah, for now,
Thank
I don't
you.
wanna...
And I think it relates to what you just said to kind of finish up this part with your work and your presentation. There are two things that you are carrying as you march. And there's a question about, can you tell us about these two things that you're carrying?
Yeah, great. Of course, I'm missing points. I have a red tufa stone, which came from a destroyed church from a bombing, an Armenian church destroyed, and that represents the past. And the lily flower represents the future. I'm just very simply slow walking. Motoko, I use a lot of Buto in my work, even if you don't see it. Buto performance. Working in Buto is very essential, and working in my performance is also very essential. So I slow motion my work. Instead of a march, I regress it. So future, past, present.
Thank you, Ricardo. And with that note, wonderful note on your work, we will move to our next artist. Of course, at the end, we will come back for everybody. All right, thank you very much. We will now invite our next artist, and connecting from Germany, we have Dagmar Glosnitzer-Smith, and her work is called Mowing Places 4. It was presented in Braunschweig, Germany in 2019. Let's go now to Dagmar. Dagmar, go ahead. Hello.
Hi, it's so good to be here, and thank you, Hector, for this opportunity. And just by watching and being here and anticipating all the different experiences really is a great challenge and learning process. Yes, I'm an artist, an organizer of international events, of international performance art workshops, initiators of several performance networks in the section. And for 15 years, I've been a senior lecturer at Kingston University, London. I spent quite a long time in London, my whole education there. And my first performance that I did was in 1992. And in those days, I developed very early the desires to investigate sites, locations in relationships to the object and the objecthood, and the question of what object might be. And in those early days, London was quite a ground for the discovery of locations and neglected spaces, and it was in those days very, very interesting. And they offered immense possibilities, open spaces, and the exploration of corners and derelict areas, which I kind of occupied. And in early days also felt that as doing performance in the public arena, there was a possibility of claiming a space for a moment, for a situation. And that was very fascinating. And then the idea of transportation and logistics, transporting objects from one place to another, to maybe temporary floors or site-specific places and the public. A journey which led me to the question of foreignness and its psychological implications based on the understanding of myself in the world and what that could mean and imply. And that's a strong motivation in my work in many occasions. The complexities and each object which I collected or created or lost, its absence or its presence, even as a metaphor, has its own place in relation to the one that's exactly located next to the other. I'm observing how these relationships begin their own dynamic play, maybe with my interference and maybe not, maybe by observation and by a constant process of testing their references. I'm following the call for what they are in their appearance and the speculation of their potential trueness in the philosophical sense, and that would mean Dasein, understanding the being of the object, even of myself, and questioning the value of presence. The research then led further and further to language on the threshold of thought, and a literary compound, which uses familiar terms, however, withdraws its function as meaning slowly and reclining towards an invented and imagined context. This is a little bit in the nutshell. Thank you.
Thank you, Dagmar. And now we will go and see the work. Thank you, Dagmar.
Yeah, thank you. I'm afraid that the representation of the video through its jitteriness, and we've experienced that with all the other works before, but especially here, I noticed that it didn't really work to the extent of fluidity, which it obviously had. It was in 2018 that at the time I was working with artists who had disabilities, and I gathered a few artists and we collaborated with this idea of the procession quite significantly in this occasion, and that's why I thought that it was really good to have this opportunity to show it. The people who were involved in this action were in part not being able to speak, not being able to hear. Their movement was impaired, and I carefully worked out each of the tasks that they would carry and have through the walk through the city. Mine was the mowing action, which was part of a series that I had done in several other cities in the world so far. The second one was a suitcase and the children's shoes, as you remembered. And it was very important for her to, a little bit in the way that she was thinking, to understand what she was doing, and she did. The third one was the person with the boat. The fourth one was a red poster, which occurred or appeared to be a protest sign, which you would have in a protest march. But it said merely to the walkers or the passerby that we were walking at a particular time on a particular date from connecting 3 different locations in the city. Then the fifth person had a bag and was throwing seeds. And then one person was a measure tape that was maybe 10 or 15 meters long. And the last one was a cleaning. So each of these tasks dedicated to each person, they identified with that task during their walk in their own way. And it was a beautiful and quite a long-lasting preparation to work with the artists. They are artists by heart, but they are separated from our society, and they live in an encapsulated little village, totally cared for, but they are in the position of visiting a house, a villa, every day, those who have creative and artistic abilities and needs and wants. The mowing action itself started a long time ago in 2000 in London by connecting St. Paul's Cathedral and St. James's Park. The concept has moving, mowing, and marching at its core, and its physical engagement has a common denominator, which is the walk. The title of that film that you saw was Hinausspaziert, which is German, and it means to take a walk. So I was taking the idea of taking a walk further to a kind of, as we now understand through all the contributions of the other artists, the procession. I didn't name it that, but I understand it as such. And for me, the walk and the procession have in common the line. It is walking a line. It is connecting places. And that's very important. And especially if I'm doing the mowing in foreign cities, in the absurdity that it creates, which, you know, I am completely subversive of making a mowing action, though I'm wearing a grass suit and never be able to mow myself, obviously. So that is kind of the imagery that it represents. In 2014, I wrapped the lawnmower in Germany, and I put it onto the airline for it to be transported to Larnaca, to Cyprus, to participate at the Cyprus International Performance Art Festival. And the mowing action there was intentionally decided to cross the Turkish occupied zone in Cyprus. The object, the lawnmower, was confiscated at the Turkish border during the action. But it was a procession then, as everybody knew that I was pushing the lawnmower on the street through the occupied zone into Turkey. And it was the action seemed to have been a sign, because I left the clothes on the other side and came back in civilian clothes. And I was talking to the people at the border, you know, and where they were angry before and confiscated the German lawnmower, they now began to smile, because they at the first instant thought that I was making fun of them. And then in turn, when I was coming back, understood that it had to do with the art festival. The mowing factors which I have an immediate relation to are the main object of the project. These factors are defined by its formulated poetic rhythm during the visit of each city where the mowing action took place or will take place in the future. So I am seeing and understanding the procession also as an action of repetition and reoccurrence. And as I have done it in Dhaka, I also, in Dhaka, Bangladesh, I also carried Bangladesh language words with me. So the action often is accompanied by text and by language and by a poetic word formulation, which normally either happens just before or even after, and then it gets its place in a documentation. The transitions during the striding are as if marking an invisible line, and I was talking about that line before. Through the marching, governing the line of direction remains indifferent to the followers. So I'm observing by traversing through different cities and different cultures, how in the after effect, not during the action, but in the after effect, how people have reacted, how people have understood or not, and what kind of impact it has made. And a lot like Dimple's work yesterday, the cultures and their reactions are quite informative and important in what we do. They leave a high and valuable quality of residue in my mind. Carolina Tisdall, she wrote a lot about Boyce's book, and one of her books she titled "We Go This Way." And for me, just a simple line, "We go this way," in a way emphasizes what it is that I'm doing with the mowing action. Yes, okay. There's a lot more, but I will rest with that.
Thank you, Dagmar. Thank you. And if at this point there are any questions from the audience, or if there are any comments, now is the time. It is, and thank you for bringing this, the resignification of the object and how the object also is in this processional mode. Particularly in your work with the lawnmower, you're pushing it. It is moving with you with the weight of your body, and also the participants of the project that are so attached to these objects that they are dragging. So on the one hand, you are pushing and with your body forward, and the ones who are following you are actually pulling those objects forward. So that was a very interesting balance and dynamics in the procession itself. And of course, the stories that you mentioned about what happened with you at the border in Cyprus, and you know, the Greek border and the Turkish border, which is, I think, complements the whole significance of the objects that you work with. Thank you, Dagmar. Thank you so much for your work. Okay, we're going to, thank you. We're gonna move forward to now welcome our next friend, colleague, artist who is connecting from Togo, Ras Sankara Agboka, and his work is called Injustice Sociale. It was presented in Ville Lomé in Togo in 2019. And to help Ras in his with the translation, Vital is going to give us a hand. So Ras, go ahead, please. If you can start your video. Ras, tu m'écoutes? Hello? Ras? Okay, seems we're having a little bit of issue with his sound. Okay, I think we're having some little problem with Ras. Ras, are you there? Can you hear me? Okay. While he fixes his little glitch there, we can perhaps move to the next artist, Alonso Zuluaga, who is connecting from Colombia. His work is called La Muerte del Cubo Blanco, The Death of the White Cube would be the translation, the loose translation to the work. And it was done in Bahia in Brazil in 2015. So Alonso, I'm going to ask you to share your video and your sound for us.
Hi, Hector.
Go ahead.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm not speaking English. I am not speaking English, but I tried. My name is Alonso Zuluaga, professor and an interdisciplinary artist. I am Colombian from the city of Medellin. I have participated in different art events in different countries: Mexico, USA, Brazil, Argentina. Okay. Thank you, Hector Canonge, for the opportunity he gives us all. Presenting our artist proposal is very important for us and for the art world. everyone has their vision of art. Everyone has their vision of art. My artistic proposal for this occasion is based on the concept, did or the end